This the Black Powder Podcast. Kick up your feet, lean on your armrest, and get your mind blessed on this conquest. Hold a grip like a 12 gauge. Let this moment kick. Black people moving and having some gun ownership. I carry weight, not to keep the camera safe. It's thinking about you, my kids, and my parents' faces. The big topics they don't wanna involve us. Think we're novice, but now we're moving hard with revolvers. This the Black Powder Podcast. Let's get it started.
Promise hit the powder's lit. It's time to get on target. Welcome back to another edition of the Black Powder Podcast. This is the 3rd anniversary of this show, and I've enjoyed doing this for a while. And it's been a long time since I actually put out an episode of the Black Powder Podcast. I've mainly been focusing on more so on Warbound Radio, which is the men's show. But it's been a long time, and it's time to put one out. So I've just been reflecting on my own personal firearms journey and how far I've come compared to where I was when I began. And one of the things I realized is I've gotten better with my rifle skills. Zeroing in my sights has gotten a lot easier. Distance shooting has improved. And my knowledge of firearms, especially my rifles, has definitely improved greatly. A long time ago, I would just be kind of confused as far as how to operate certain things, especially with the bullpup. Recently, I got a G36 charging handle on my Springfield Hellion, which I lovingly call the Strike Beast, and that's one I'm still working on. But the ARs and everything, so far so good. There's always more that I can do as far as learning and becoming even more familiar with the pieces, but that will come with time. My experience has been amazing. I never really realized that being involved in this niche, if you will, this niche society would put me in contact with so many great people. For example, being part of Bass Reeves and NAGA, and loving the fellowship, the philosophies, and the history, and just the fact that there's a group of people that share your same reflection that are aiming to make a positive impact on firearms in Black society is just always refreshing, and it gives you the confidence and the right focus to continue to do what's necessary. And know that you got people out there that are like-minded and have similar goals or interests that align with you and your own viewpoints as far as just how you're trying to present yourself to society, despite the fact that you've got negative imagery pushing down against what you are actually trying to portray. The NAGA National Convention that happened earlier this year, July, as a matter of fact, not early, but about midpoint this year, 2023. It was amazing. It was the first, I guess you could say, first firearm convention I went to, but it was a lot more than just a firearm convention. Like I said, I never imagined that I would be a part of anything, especially something that covered so many aspects of just Black society in general. It was about firearms, and there were firearm vendors there, but nonetheless, there was a lot of things that were targeted towards trying to improve the community. You had a lot of things, such as breakout groups. There was historical conversations. There was even a class on bug out bags. I believe there was a Stop the Bleed class. I think there was probably look, if there's a Stop the Bleed class, I guarantee you there's probably like a first aid class as well. On top of that, you had a handgun basis class. I mean, they were trying to cover so many different angles in so many different rooms, to the point where if you left out with nothing as far as educational experience or just an experience in general, that was on you, because there was so much to be gained from that convention. The vendors, especially. The vendors are, and they were, and forever will be, amazing. Special shout out to Otis Technology. Their booth, in my opinion, was one of the best booths to actually stop by. I mean, granted, the person they put there, it was almost like talking with family, But nonetheless, I tried the products that I got there from the convention. Really loving the wipes, the great cleaning products. They're simple to use and they're very effective, especially the ripcord system. Oh man, I love that thing. It's a lot better than a bore snake, and it feels a lot more sturdier too. So I don't, I don't know if anybody's ever experienced this using a bore snake, but it almost feels like the material whenever you're trying to pull the snake through the barrel, it feels like that it could potentially break. Meanwhile, with this ripcord, I mean, you just grip and rip, and it does the job well with no issues. It's amazing. Definitely going to be buying more products in the future. But there's other vendors there as well. Canik especially, I'm a huge fan of their firearms and the products that they put out. Had really great conversations with a couple of people that were there, and was even able to walk away with a T-shirt, which is really cool. So I'll definitely be supporting that, especially if I'm going to the range. Sonorian Desert Institute was another one. They were amazing. They gave you some really good information as far as what you could do if you're interested in becoming a gunsmither. They do have classes available, and they do have a what is it called? It's been a while since I've been to college, so excuse me if the terminology is escaping my brain. But I believe it's called tuition. Yeah, money. They do have tuition available and loans available if you are interested in learning how to become a gunsmith. Down Defense was another one. That was a really great booth to go to, especially to see their long-range rifles. I think they had a bolt action on display up there, which is really cool. I had a really good conversation with a guy there named Chisholm. He really seemed to know what he was talking about. You could tell he's got some experience behind what he's been doing, which is always good to see whenever you're at a convention and dealing with a certain product. Honestly, if I'm going to a cereal convention, I expect somebody to know the ins and outs of the cereal that they're trying to talk about versus going there and looking at the box and saying, yep, what's on the box is what's in the box. So it's always a good thing. And it's also good to see that Down Defense is willing to make an appearance at pretty much a majorly black firearms expo or convention, if you will. And if anything, that definitely sends a loud and clear message, one that I personally can respect. 6 Hour, man. I didn't get a chance to really stop by the SIG booth, and I feel kind of bad because when the range event happened during the convention, I didn't get a chance to try and sign up to try out some of the 6 Hour firearms, if you will, which I'm still kicking myself. But nonetheless, I mean, even with the lack of interaction that I had with the guys, they seemed like they were really cool. They were down to earth. They were just chill people. Funny thing is, when I was leaving, I told the guys that, they were trying to pack up their firearms. I told them, hey, the car behind you is where you need to put them at. You put them in the wrong spot. Which, ironically enough, they had a giant SUV, and I'm over here pushing this Nissan Juke. So, if anything, I'd probably be able to get one box, and that's it. But one box, nonetheless, would have made me happy. Smith and Wesson, they were pretty chill. They were just kind of really informative as far as if you had any questions or anything. But Canik and Sig, man, those guys, they had some really good customer representatives, enthusiasts, and nothing against Smith and Wesson, but I think next year, if they come back, just be a little bit more interactive with the people. You also had Samsico there, Project Child Safe, which has a very important mission. They're just trying to make sure that if there's any firearms in any home, that they're locked down and properly stored, so we won't have to deal with any more childhood deaths. And ironically enough, there has been one in Atlanta recently due to the fact that there was a father who left a firearm in the car, and he had his 2 sons in the back, and one of them found a gun and shot the other one in the head. So yeah, this is definitely what Project Child Safe is working against, and just support them. I try and put links down below for all the vendors that were there, but like I said, support Project Child Safe. The NSSF, they had some really good representatives, and they also had some really good information, especially if you were actually trying to seek to become a firearms instructor. I think they said that they offered like a 22 LR ammo. I don't think they would offer a firearm, but nonetheless, they would give you all the materials that's necessary in order to try and train people and give you the ammo that's necessary, and it just basically sets you up for success, which is good because you got a lot of people out there, they buy firearms and that's it. They think that if I have a gun, then I'm good. I'm good to go. I can face society and all the issues that come with it. In all actuality, you do need training. So the fact that they're going above and beyond to try and make sure that proper training can be produced in different sectors of society, support that. That's a good thing. Staccato 2011, I ended up missing their booth as well. I mean, there was a lot going on at this convention. I really should have tried to make it a little bit more time. This is my very first convention. I didn't exactly know what I was going to walk into, so there was a lot of things that I missed, but nonetheless, Staccato 2011, I'm going to have to hit y'all up next time. We're going to wait on those prices to go down. They look great. Still a good piece of art. USCCA, the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. Man, let me tell you something. These guys at the booth, I really wish I could have hung out and spoke with them a lot more, because I mean, these dudes were chill. They were funny, great sense of humor, and if that's what they're bringing to represent their company, it's like almost like an open door policy. You know, you just go in, you see people, you can talk with them. There's no animosity, there's no preconceived notion. It's just we're coming together to make sure that we have a community to where you can ask questions and you can feel safe about carrying, and you can feel safe about your reciprocity, because they do provide a app that'll tell you whether or not your concealed carry license or your firearm license in general is good in any other state. I mean, they have a lot to offer, and the fact that the face that represents the offerings is one that is non-judgmental and just sees people almost on a balanced level, if you will. Need more of that. Definitely need more of that. Shadow Systems there, Hollow Sun, Mantis. There's probably a lot more that I'm missing, but nonetheless, I mean, all these vendors that were there, great people, great vendors. Definitely support them if you're a part of NAGA. I also met a lot of other influencers as well, such as Armed Atlas. Shout out to you, man. Really cool dude, down to earth. Check out his videos. He puts out a lot of good content, and he gives you an honest opinion and his viewpoints on everything that he's trying out. Definitely check him out. Hopefully I can run into him again. Maybe we can come up with something. You also have Black Armed Guns, Black Men Build. Black Men Build was an amazing experience, because that was one of the breakout groups, and the topic that we discussed was what protection looked like from your perspective, in your opinion. A lot of brothers stepped up and gave their perspectives, their opinions, their thoughts on what protection looked like. The worries that they had, like I remember one dude, he was saying that he worried about his kids growing up in their neighborhood, because there wasn't like a whole lot of black people around. And he's, like any father, he's trying to provide a better environment for his kids to grow up in without having to worry about too much of social dangers. But he also worries that the cultural aspect of, what each family should pass down to their lineage, he's worried about that. He doesn't want them to feel like, they're just being overlooked, or they need to understand the things that come with being a black person in society. But I told them that it's going to be okay, because ironically enough, that was kind of my issue. I grew up in a neighborhood that was mainly white people, and I went to school with a school full of mainly white people. I think you could barely even count the number of black people in the school on your hands, but nonetheless, I'm still trying to be the best that I can in society that is here with what I've been given. And I still pray that his kids are going to end up being good. And I know they will. For everything that seems like it sucks in society, there's always something that's going to help bolster you into a better position, if and only if you allow it to. But yeah, definitely check out Black Men Build. It's very inspirational. It's definitely something that was needed, and I'm glad it's here. Shout out to Amber G. Johnson. She's got a lot of things planned. She's got a mission. She's got a goal. Definitely go check her stuff out. She will not be stopped, and I'm really hoping to see some great things in the future from her. And another shout out to Bill from Otis Technology. Man, I really hope to come across you again, because this dude was like one of the most down-to-earth people that I met at the convention. And I just got to say that, Bill, you showed a lot of commonality in regards to firearms and protection in general. Honestly, you took it away from just the color aspect. There was no black or white or separate or sit aside and view. It was just firearms for all, and protection for all who want to protect their families, for learning for people who want to get better and protect themselves. And then just in general for those who want to partake in this community. I mean, just the fact that you can exercise your Second Amendment right because it's there. The fact that there was somebody from a different aspect of society that was just sitting down and having a conversation with me and talking with me in general, like I was a person and not talking down to me. That's the interaction that we need more of in this community, because the more divisive we are, the less we're going to be able to push forward with the goals, and end up losing a lot of people who we could potentially ally with, because right now, politically, firearms are not exactly, as far as progress and positivity, I guess, if you will, they're not up there. They're basically the movie TV view to the average person who's not going to do the research or study or anything. So that's the biggest thing that we're working against. And if you also look, the amount of crime is going up too, because there's a lot of things in the background that are going on. So the fact that we're being pushed to rely on police or protection or whatever from other sources without having to do it ourselves, that's a problem. So we all need to make sure that we are linking up with whomever's going to support us, whoever's going to rock with us, whatever. That's what it boils down to. But yeah, it was so cool. I definitely had to make sure that I stopped by his booth twice, because dude is amazing. Like I said, I really hope to see you again. We had fun. I picked him up. We went to the range event that happened. It was a range of barbecue. I think it's called Bullets and Barbecue, but nonetheless, we went there. We chilled out. We had fun. We talked. We interacted with people. I mean, dude definitely got to hang out again. It was fun. But like I said, this is the third year of Black Matter Podcast, and there's a lot of things I'm realizing that I could definitely do better. Starting with number one, being more dedicated to making more episodes. I haven't really had a lot of time to follow up with that as much as I'd like. I've been busy with a lot of stuff. Honestly, that's not much of an excuse, and I'm not trying to make one. Long story short, I know my ass could be doing a lot better as far as getting this content out, because this content is needed. This content is valuable, and this isn't just me talking out of my ass with this. This is things that I've been told by other people. If this content is valuable and I'm not putting out as much as I can, then I'm not giving it the overall value that it needs. And honestly, if that's what I'm doing, then instead of just shrugging this off and letting it go to waste all for naught, I just need to step my game up and do a lot better. So that should be number one on the list as far as how to make it better. So whenever I hit year 4, I can look back and say, yeah, this is improved. Now what can I do better from year 4? Because year 5 is going to come up very shortly if I'm not careful. And by the 5th year, the goals that I set out should already be achieved, so I can go ahead and plan for 5 more years and 5 more years. So if this is the energy that I'm putting into this project, this platform, to promote what is important, then it needs to be better. So number 1 is producing more content. Number 2 is expanding my content on the different platforms. Podcasts are great. To be honest with you, everybody still watches YouTube. quote unquote watches YouTube. So you'll have a lot of podcasts on YouTube that are in the background. So like if somebody's cooking up some vegetables or something and they put YouTube on, it's in the background. They're not watching it, they're just listening to it. Same thing where, for example, if I'm driving home and one of the content creators put out something that I'm interested in, I'm not watching it obviously because my eyes need to be on the road, but I am listening to it in the background. So I have to find a way to put my things on YouTube. And that's going to be very interesting because right now they've been cracking down on a lot of firearms enthusiasts and influencers. So I have to find the right platform. That's going to be interesting. If anybody has any feedback or any information on what the right platform is, you can at least help start my journey towards that direction. Please feel free to leave a comment. Email me at blackpowderpodcast@gmail.com. Just anything helps. Anything definitely helps. Number 3 is get more active. I would like to get more active in the 2A community. I would like to go to more conventions. The unfortunate thing is right now my schedule is kind of janky, but I'll just have to figure that out as I go. You know, there's no excuse if you want this to work. So I will have to find a way to get more active, even if it requires traveling. You know, if you got a goal, you have to work towards it. You can't walk away from it. And number 4, ultimately, which has been my goal since I'd say 2020, is to work towards becoming a certified firearm instructor. I do not want to be the type of instructor that just has a license and I can't shoot for shit and, you know, I'm just passable. Because if I'm providing passable results to the students that I'm willing to train, then there's only going to be passable safety. There's not going to be any understanding. There's not going to be any education. It's just, I can shoot a gun and I can hit a target. Good enough for me. And that's not going to be good enough for me. So if I'm going to do this, I got to do it right. But I also got to start up and focus on and educate myself on how to do it right. I do know NAGA does have the instructors classes. There's a lot of good instructors that have been in Bass Reeves. There's a lot of good instructors outside of Bass Reeves. But nonetheless, I need to start something to make that dream happen, to make that goal happen. So that's goal number 4. Goal number 5 is to try and reach out to more people to just get this platform out to as many people as possible in general, whether it's by word of mouth, whether it's through SEO online, whether it's through social media, which right now is actually being kind of, it's hard to do because there's shadow banning and then there's just blocking of accounts and everything else. So one way or another, I've got to find a way to get this out to people in general, especially black people, because, you know, election year is coming up. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be targeted towards different racial groups, and with the things that have been going on lately as far as black society and the black community, I mean, we just had that Dollar General shooting recently. And again, it was another racially motivated shooting. I don't want to look up and see, well, as of recent, a third racially motivated shooting and not have people be prepared for it. Because I've said this in my past podcast before. It's like, it's okay to have God at your side and believe in your ancestors and all this other stuff, and, you know, walk with grace or whatnot, however you want to word it. It's okay to have that mentality, but at the same time, you also have to realize that you have to protect yourself because no one else will. You are your first and your last line of defense. You are your own first responder, as people say. Nobody else is going to do it for you. I mean, that should be obvious. You think a long time ago, knights and samurai and even distinguished gentlemen who were walking on the streets, you honestly think that they walked out any sort of protection? And the quickest argument that most people will say is if you look at Australia and England and all the other countries out there that have stricter gun laws, they have quote-unquote less crime. But at the end of the day, they still have crime. It's not going to be from firearms. It's going to be from other sources of intent to hurt. Whether it's a knife, brass knuckles, some bludgeoning object, whatever. It's going to be out there. And if anybody is willing to commit the crime, like the Shinzo Abe assassination over in Japan has shown us, if anybody is willing to commit the crime and put the hate behind it, they will find a way to hurt you. You are your own protector. You are your own first line of defense. This is something that you're going to have to come to terms with, especially in black society. We are not firearm experts. We are not firearm professionals. Just because you go out and purchase a firearm does not mean that you are ready. And when it comes to firearms, I mean, we as black people have left our legacy behind from slavery. Because the average slave, you know, once they got their paperwork and everything, oh, you're good to go, you're free. No, that's not how that worked. They still had an uphill struggle to maintain, fight, and uphold that freedom. And it didn't come from just praying, it didn't come from begging, it didn't come from just being there or hiding. It came from them being willing to fight to keep it. So yeah, we got a long walk ahead of us. But nonetheless, like I said, this is just me reflecting on 3 years of Black Powder Podcast. If you want to give a shout outs or thank yous or, you know, any information or anything that you'd like me to talk about, like I said before, blackpowderpodcast@gmail.com. You can also find me on Black Powder Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and you can stream this on most of the major platforms. I know you got YouTube Music. It used to be called Google Play Music, which was 10 times better in my opinion, but nonetheless, YouTube Music, Apple, what is it called? Apple's, not the Apple Store. Lord, I'm over here trying to forget. But you can tell I'm an Android user and a PC user. I'm sorry. Don't mean to offend most of my people that are listening. Probably some of y'all have just unsubscribed after hearing this. I don't know. But nonetheless, the Apple Podcast. I'm starting to sound old. Whatever the podcast platform for Apple is, you can find me there. iTunes, there we go. You can find me on iTunes. You can find me on Spotify. I'm even on, I think it's Amazon Audible, which is interesting because I thought I would be on Amazon Music. But nonetheless, I'm on Audible as well. So, like I said, most major platforms, even minor platforms, you can find me there. Just look for the Black Powder Podcast. And as always, be safe, be vigilant, and once again, this has been another Mag Dump. This is Yasuke Fett, signing off.
This the Black Powder Podcast, let's get explicit. We got the wisdom hitting targets with a marksman's precision. We're having fun in the booth, we're running gun for the truth. Every future black gun owner, we're spreading the news. We do illegal, we're moving regal and blessing the people. Some hopes for the culture, we keep it locked like guns in our holster. Holding it down as we're loading the rounds. If they were nervous back then they're gonna be scared of us now. Black Powder Podcast, we'll be back in a while.